So this is a comparison between the HTC Touch Diamond Pro 2 and the Sony Ericsson P910. We're looking at the software in this video. Now you can see the HTC is actually still loading up its information. This is probably 1 minute after I've turned the phone on. Sony Ericsson's ready to go. Doesn't take very long to load up at all. There we go, the HTC's just brought up its information. Now the Sony Ericsson uses a Symbian operating system, and the Symbian operating system is fantastic. I've got nothing but praise for it. HTC uses what's called Windows Mobile running in the background with what's called a touch flow interface at the front. So it's sort of like a skin, I suppose, but a fairly deep skin, a fairly functional skin. The problem with it is that you are working in the touch flow interface for a while, and then suddenly you'll find yourself in Windows Mobile, and they're two very different feels, two different orientations. So that's a bit disorientating. And then as well as that, Windows Mobile isn't very consistent all the way through. Some parts will be very touch friendly, other parts not very touch friendly at all, and I find it just very frustrating that the phone doesn't seem to have a single philosophy that goes all the way through it. That on one screen you'll press up the top here to close the panel, on another screen you'll have an X somewhere, and another screen there's nothing, and you have to press the back button to get back to the main panel. The P910, it's consistent all the way through, which is just fantastic and really what I expect out of a phone, and I'm surprised that this hodgepodge of programming is still considered to be normal, I suppose, or acceptable. Now, getting into some of the controls, I suppose. With the HTC, you've got this really nice little touch flow thing where you can press down the bottom and slide your finger across. And even though you can only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items down the bottom, you can see as I move my finger that the bottom is moving as well. So I've actually got access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. And in fact, I've turned a lot of the items off on this phone. You can access a lot more than that. I think it's about 12. The Sony Ericsson, using the jog dial, you can just scroll up and down, and you can access things just by pressing them on the screen if you prefer, or you can press the jog dial in. So I've got no messages on this one, but the messages, when you read them, have a nice fancy effect. In my opinion, just too fancy. A lot of this interface really concentrates on having fancy animations, and things don't just delete, they sort of fall away in stages, and it's all a little bit unnecessary, and it's all it all slows down the interaction with the device, which is what I really don't like about it. I just want to read my SMS and delete it. I don't want to watch it fall away piece by piece. Sony Ericsson's a lot more business-like. You've just got your SMSs here, MMSs, etc. You can click in there, access them, nice and easy to access, and all the buttons are just large enough that you can press them with your thumbnail or your fingernail if you like. Different inboxes, all that kind of thing, nice and easy to work with. Now I've got a skin that I usually use in the Sony Ericsson, or used to use, which I could program to go to different parts of the phone, so you could access it all through the jog dial. So this is my voice sound recorder, music player, all that kind of thing. HTC doesn't really seem to have the same sort of manipulator. It doesn't let you change things quite so much and program it the way you want it to. You have to do quite a lot of research to set it up almost the way I like. Listening to music's probably a nice place to start. There's no music on this HTC, so I've prepared really well. One thing I find really frustrating about it though is that it doesn't have an album orientated interface. It's very song orientated. That is, that if I want to go to another album, there's no way for me on this main screen just to say I want to go to the next album. You have to flick through song by song. It's like it's made for people who listen to mixtapes or top 40s or the favourite songs downloaded off the internet. To listen to an album, you need to go to library, press the albums button, and then click the album that you want to go to. The Sony Ericsson's got a much better interface for the music player. That said, it does list everything down here. So it lists all the albums, and you do need to scroll down to the album that you want to listen to. So once again, it is song orientated, but it's much easier to go straight to an album. There's a very, very small scroll area down the side here though, which is quite frustrating to use. Uses your touch. With the emails, HTC once again gets into too much animation. It's very fancy, it's nice to use, I don't mind it, but it's just got more animation than I need. But you can go into the Windows interface, which isn't very touch friendly. You end up having to use your fingernail, and because the touchscreen on the HTC isn't quite as sensitive as the P910, that actually makes it a little bit harder to use. Looking at pictures, nice little interface here. Once again, pretty much unnecessary though. I mean, it looks great, but it's not a quick and convenient way for me to view my pictures. We can go to the album, which is going to show all my pictures with these little buttons here, but then it's you know, the romance isn't there, I suppose. There's no middle ground, which I think is a real shame. Looking at the pictures, they look great on this screen. This is a very high resolution screen. I forget what it is, but it's more resolution than my first laptop had, which I think is just really something. And like I mentioned, you can scroll in and out using this sensor here, and you can move around on the screen with a bit of dragging. P910 was really doing all of that a long time ago, just without all the fancy animations. So I'll see if I can find a picture here. I guess this one will do. So you can view that picture. There's a touch screen here. A nice thing about this is that I can just press on the screen and it's going to zoom in, press on the screen, it's going to zoom in more, and I can move around. So this idea that the iPhones and the new phones like HTC, this is all new technology, this has been around for a long, long time. This is a very excellent phone that really didn't get enough attention, I don't think. Both of the phones access the internet. Obviously the HTC is 3G, so it is much faster at accessing the internet. One thing that's a bit annoying about the HTC is that it doesn't really show you a great deal of your appointments at the front. I would really like to see a lot more space utilised here. There's all this black space on the left to right and down at the bottom not utilised, where I could see more appointments. And also defaulting to this screen is a bit of a pain too, where this is not really necessary to see all this time information. Now for the alarm seems quite good in HTC, and it really is. You've got 3 alarms here. You can set them to go on and off at particular times. I've got this one to wake me up at 6:31 every morning through Monday through Saturday. I sleep in on Sundays. The problem is that if I set an alarm for a different date, let's say I set one of the other ones for say 7 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, that's going to stay on even after the alarm has been dismissed or has gone off on that Saturday. So there is no setting to say I want it to go off tomorrow and then I want you to forget about it. The P910, however, has a fantastic alarm system. Once again, this is 5 years before. So you've got, once again, 3 slots with pretty much the same moldability, but the difference here is that when I can say I want it daily, only in the next 24 hours, only on work days, weekly, only once. So it goes off Wednesday, that's it. You'll be amazed how often the next 24 hours I used to use. You just think, tomorrow I want an alarm at this time, I want this sound, and I want this message to come up. Once it's gone, I don't want to think about it ever again, and that's how it works. You can't do that in HTC. I think it's a real oversight, and there's no reason why that can't be programmed in. I've got a feeling it's because of the Windows mobile programming in the back, and I'll continue about the software in the next video.